Well, it's 2 o'clock and good afternoon. This is Ron with GoZone Wi-Fi. Let me first start off by saying thank you for joining us on our webinar today. I'd like to go ahead and first, just to be a respecter of time here, we're going to get started promptly and cover a few things before we get into the information. But today's webinar is going to be on presence analytics and the real market opportunity. Before we go into the discussion regarding the presence analytics, I'd like to cover a few things here on our agenda while we have some additional logons coming on here. And first and foremost, some general information. For those of you that have questions while I'm going through this today, please feel free to go ahead and type those in. We have a moderator, that is Beatrice Stone, our senior account executive, is going to be monitoring those and answering all of your questions as best as she can, and contacting you and sharing additional information beyond what I'll be sharing with you here today as well. Also, I'm going to be going over a little bit of an overview on GoZone. Some of you that are on the call are vendors that we work with. Some are partners that are out there, and some are new clients, and some of you are just new to GoZone altogether. So I'll share a little bit of information about us so you know something about the company itself, and you'll understand a little bit better why it is that we do the things we do. In addition to that, we're going to discuss, obviously, presence analytics. It's one of the areas where I see the most questions coming out of in discussions with both clients and partners in the industry, and where it lies in defining presence analytics and how it works. Now, the goal here today, more importantly, is what I like to call creating an aha moment. But cutting right to it, it's going to be to discuss the differences between what is known as presence analytics and marketing analytics, because there is some overlap in those, and we happen to address all areas and actually even the overlap. But what are the differences? And in those differences, how is it that with presence analytics as well as with the collection of marketing data, do we go about reporting and bringing that opportunity forward so that business owners and technology partners can understand it better and take advantage of it in the marketplace? And one of the other areas that I like to say is data in and of itself is changing on a daily basis. The way we work with it, the equipment, the software, we're always pushing that envelope, so to speak. So we want to also cover how is it that GoZone is positioned to support you and your efforts when it comes to this. Now, regarding GoZone, we have been in the Wi-Fi space for quite some time. Now, what we are is basically known as a software as a service company. And what we do is that we actually help companies monetize their guest Wi-Fi. This is a direct result of the vision that our CEO had when he realized that Wi-Fi in the marketplace was moving from being an amenity to being an expected utility. There isn't a place that we don't see where people go to that they don't search to see if there's a strong Wi-Fi signal, especially within the various buildings and types of constructed areas that it's hard to even get a standard signal into, but everybody's been moving in that direction for some time. Well, he saw this some time ago, and he decided he was going to address the market a little bit different than most, and we're going to cover that here today because it plays a big role in answering the question related to presence analytics. Now, the way we've done that is that we've built a suite of products. We have 3 products that are very strong, very powerful, and each has not only their own function, but they also have some overlap. And we're going to talk about that here today related to the data. Now, presence analytics. This is one of those areas that if you ask 5 or 6 engineers, what is presence analytics, you're probably going to get 7 or 8 answers out of them. But at the end of the day, presence analytics is really looked at as being information that is location-based, and it's usually collected via Wi-Fi regarding physical movement, behavior, or patterns within a specific area. So you have an area that you have a Wi-Fi network set up, and you want to be able to look at heat maps and certain type of data information visually as well as in report format of what is happening in that area physically. What is the movement? Are there 100 people walking by my store versus 25 people that are coming in? And the interesting part about presence analytics is that most people believe you have to connect to the Wi-Fi in order to make this happen. Well, you don't. because what happens is it is able to see the devices that are out there and going by the Wi-Fi network itself. You'll see here it talks about not even having to connect to the SSID, or what is known as the Wi-Fi identity. So what are some examples of this? Well, this is not anything really new. If I'm going to date myself heavily now, but if you think back a long time ago, large stores, shopping centers, locations like this, when they wanted to find out about footfall traffic or flow patterns of individuals, they would go out and hire a bunch of young college kids. They'd hand them these little things that are like a clicker, and they'd have them stand around. And as you walked in the door, they would sit there and click these. And this is how they counted people. It's kind of like those things you see in the road when your car drives along and you go past and they're trying to count how many people go through the traffic there. Well, presence analytics is answering that question using technology and using that Wi-Fi zone, and the most important thing of all, and that is the devices that we carry. As a result of that, what happens is we're able to go out and create footfall traffic counts. We're able to create flow patterns. We're able to address other things such as security. We actually have partners that are working right now with clients, and those clients are looking at things such as what happens if in my location, all of the people in my store suddenly start going in one direction and I can see that. What is there a way for me to monitor that? Well, you say, well, what would that do? Well, it could be a couple of things. There could be, let's say there's a brawl on aisle 6 because there's a sale on tomatoes and all of a sudden everybody's running in that direction. Or it could be simply something so easy as all of the individuals are moving towards the front of the store, so therefore they now know that they need to get an alert to open up more cash registers. So now you have staff and resource allocation being handled by this same technology as well. And as each day goes by, even those of us in the industry, we see more and more each day new applications for presence analytics, because it has now come down to where this pattern of behavior, this physical movement, is what is actually causing and driving new uses within that space. And there's more to come. I'm going to tell you that what we see in the industry, especially with the coming of artificial intelligence, there's just so much more coming in there. Now, we like to define presence analytics another way as well, and that is we call it as follows. We like to say that it is information about the entity, because when you're looking at a pattern, or you're looking like on here at a screen, you're not looking at an identity. You're not getting information about the individual. What you're doing is getting information about that individual at that physical location. Now, how does GoZone take care of this for you? How is GoZone positioned? Well, we have one of our platforms, which is our Analytics for Wi-Fi platform. Our platform, as you can see here on your screen, allows you to upload, let's say, a complete layout of your store, your location, your mall, and you're able to go in here, and with the devices that are seen in that location, we're able to take care of seeing things such as passerbys. We can see the guests that are actually stopping. We can see repeat visitors. So if someone's been in the area before, even though we may not know who they are, we know they have been there before by the information from their device, and it can recognize that as well. We also know if they've connected to our local Wi-Fi. And all of this information is being monitored and kept, not only for you to look at in the moment, but also to go back and review as well. Now, a lot of times I'm asked, well, Ron, where do we get that information? Do they move on, and can we reach out to them again? Those are all great questions. One of the things I'm going to suggest about going through this information today is that you not only type those questions in, but I'm going to suggest that once we go through here today and take this 30,000 foot view, that you write some of those down, you contact us, and let's set up a time to deep dive, because obviously the information I'm going through here and going through a little bit quickly to try and be a respecter of everyone's time is got a lot more behind it. And we want to make sure that we cover that for you. So with that being said, let me continue. The traffic patterns that you see here and the way that we monitor those are not just recorded, but we're able to set up triggers and alerts for you as well. Now, this is important because now it's not just telling me about movement of individuals, but I can begin to look at parameters like if there is that movement of people all going to one side, is there a security risk, things of that nature. Now, once again, I'm going to go back to a lot of times at this point, people go back to the question, I don't understand. How is it that that happens? It's the devices that you carry. We all do. The average individual out there has 2.3 devices with them at any given point in time. So with that in mind, we're able to see those devices. We're able to count those devices. We're able to account for it. And as such, it allows us to take a technology that now used to be something quite antiquated and sitting there, like I said, with someone with a clicker, to where each and every one of us are actually accounting for ourselves and what it is, our physical movement and actions. Now, the value of presence analytics. Is this for everybody? It can be. But at the end of the day, presence analytics, since it involves an entity versus an identity, may not be for every business, but there are out there. For venue owners, it allows them to collect raw data about those entities and be able to use that data to not only react in the moment, but also to make better business decisions. If they want to go into an area, if they wish to expand on a storefront, they're able to know, what is my footfall traffic? What is it that I am actually dealing with in reality versus an estimate? It also can be customized to do other things for them, as we've mentioned before. But the true value in understanding this is that, for instance, if you take a shopping center, the shopping center may actually charge rent based on the volume of footfall traffic going in certain sections of a large mall or complex. This is something they would use in order to do that. For partners out there and providers, IT providers, this is an incredible offering and brings great value to what it is that you're doing for your clients. Number one, it's going to let you stand apart from the other providers that are out there. You're now offering a specialized service to your client. This allows you to play a vital role, a very vital role in their daily activity and business decisions. In addition to that, we're going to basically cover a little bit about the marketing for analytics now. We were talking about presence. Now let's go ahead and take the comparative, because a lot of times I'm asked, when you look at our different products that we offer from GoZone, well, Ron, so you're telling me that if I do the marketing side, all I have is the ability to market to people, but I don't have any information. Nope, couldn't be the furthest thing from the truth. All of our products have data collection involved. However, each of them are specifically designed differently. Wi-Fi marketing-based analytics is based on both not only physical data and movement, but it's also based on personal identity information. So what you're talking about here is now that the person is, or the guest is logging on, they're giving information that we're able to use. You can read here, I'm not what I have on the screen, but basically we're collecting data and information from that individual that is later used so that you can go ahead in your venue and be able to brand yourself to that individual, as well as retarget them under very specific environments or interactions between that guest and yourself. So before, in our presence analytics, we were talking about data that's based on an entity. Here, we're talking about data that's based on an identity. And at the end of it, it's not only their identity, but also the interaction with the venue itself directly. Now, when working with marketing analytics, and let me kind of go over some of those examples. We've all seen them. You walk into a location, you go to log on, you're delivered to a specific splash page, and then it kind of goes into different areas. But at the end of it all, what it comes down to is this area continues to grow. We're very excited at GoZone that we recently, in one of our releases, just released a specific function that we refer to as guest flow pages. Well, that is basically a multi-tiered splash page. So when a person goes to log on to the local Wi-Fi, now they're not only coming in and having the experience of a page that comes up branding and asking them to log on with a specific social Wi-Fi logon or an email, but it also allows them, and you'll see this shortly, the ability to gather additional information right at the beginning, even before the person has actually chosen to log on with their social Wi-Fi. This is powerful. This is something that allows the venue to collect data now that is customizable to them. They're able to go out there and now get information that allows them to drive very targeted traffic back to the venue. In addition to that, one of the things that our clients always talk about is being able to understand who is your loyal clients, who are they, and being able to reward them. In our systems, we not only gather the data and information for the purposes of gathering it, but in our marketing for Wi-Fi platform, we're able to take that information, those analytics, and we're able to apply them to marketing tools that let you reach out under very specific circumstances and now have a return on investment or a monetization of your hotspot using that data. Here's our marketing for Wi-Fi. You can see here there's a picture of it. It talks about increasing customer loyalty, driving additional sales. But at the end of the day, and a lot of the folks that know me from before know I'm very impassioned about this, I always say we do three things really well. First and foremost, we are really good at gathering data and information. And then secondly, we do so in a way that allows those venues to truly take advantage of the tools to brand themselves and be always top of mind with their clients. Be able to have that person when they're going out on a Saturday, not be sitting there back and forth like Chip and Dale saying, where do you want to go to eat? Where do you want, I don't know, we'll go and back and forth. They'll sit there and they'll be able to have their tools drive that top of mind so that they're the selection that's made. And then lastly, we give them the ability to not only gather that data and information in a very efficient manner, but be able to use those tools to retarget those individuals as well, to have that repeat business, to have the person that already liked you come back again. And those three things are what we're able to do. And how does that apply to today's topic? Very simply this. The data that's being gathered, whether it's through the means of presence analytics or through the marketing analytics that are being collected, there is some overlap. At the end of the day, it really comes down to one thing for the venue. How does this help me drive more business? Whether it's making better business decisions or whether it's driving them in the door to create additional revenues. Those are what GoZone's tools do. They help you to bridge that overlap and make that happen. Here you can see a couple of examples of that. There's a lot of ways to collect data and information beyond just the collection that's happening by the device connecting or pinging onto the system. You'll see here on the left the standard logon page. This is an example of what we're all accustomed to seeing, where they ask you to go ahead and connect utilizing a social logon. You also see that we have the ability to put things such as opt-ins or opt-outs, consent boxes as well, all the things you would come to expect. Now, what this has to do with the data, well, that's what's happening. It looks really nice and it's giving the person options to come on the system. But at the end of the day, what we're doing is we're taking various sources that we can gather data from in order to bring them all together so that that venue owner can use it to his benefit and advantage. Same thing on the right over here. This is an example, and it's an amazing example. Our marketing team put this one together, and thanks to them. This is one of our guest flow pages, and you'll see here, the person goes to log on to the system, and from the very beginning, something is beginning to happen that is important to understand. There is an exchange of value that is taking place. This venue is sharing information. Ladies' night, 2-for-1 beers, it's branding themselves. But right away, how did you hear about the brazen beer mug? Here are the answers. This is collecting data and information. They haven't even given their name yet. It's going to take this information together with the address of that device that has connected, and it's going to begin making that connection. This is powerful. This is very powerful. Think of the venues that could go out there and begin to do things like collect data and information together with, let's say, their brands that they do business with. Now they know. They can ask questions like, why did you pick this over this? Or do you prefer this kind of company versus this one? Now their information and data is being augmented just by merely exchanging the value of that data for connection to the internet. Now, what's the value of the marketing analytics? Well, I've been sitting here getting excited and going through them for the last couple of minutes, but in the end, it's about this. It's about being able to get very specific personal data about the individuals that are at that location. The business owner can use that They're able to brand themselves, as I said earlier. They're able to look at their client database in a very different light. They're able to know who really are their good clients, who are their clients that are maybe seasonal, and they're able to go ahead and make good business decisions based on that data and those demographics as well. For the service provider, once again, I'm going to repeat myself. You're going to stand out. But not only are you going to stand out, for service providers, you can imagine that with all the tools that are in here, there are some companies that want to take advantage of this, but they don't even know where to begin. So if you're a service provider, help them. Make that part of your business model. Offer them not only the services of what we bring to the table, but offer them the services of being able to make that happen. This now opens new revenue models even for you. So this is a win-win all the way across for everybody, from the provider to the venue and ultimately the guest as well. Now, when you say, is there a comparison? And that's really what drove today's webinar. When we were sitting back at the beginning of the year in the company and we were looking at different things that our clients ask and information and topics that we could address that really we keep answering those questions for folks. This is one of the ones that came up: presence analytics versus marketing analytics. What is the difference here? Well, there is not necessarily one better than the other, because if you're a vendor, a hardware vendor, and you're talking to a client and they tell you, I want to know about presence analytics, or I want to know about gathering data and information, the next question needs to be, what are you going to use it for? Because they're both powerful. There is some overlap in some of the things that are there, but in the beginning, you have to find out what is the data going to be used for, because they are two very different things, but they are all there to accomplish one purpose, and that is to help those of you that are clients, that are venue owners, that are operating businesses, being able to make better decisions and drive revenue. The presence analytics, as I said, it's built around the entity. I want to know about the physical movement, the characteristics of my clients. Marketing, you want to know about the client himself. You want to know their personal data. You want to know about the individual. You want to be able to reach out to them. You want to be able to send them an email that says, hey, we noticed you've been to our location 3, 4, 5 times, and we want to go ahead and send you a coupon so you have 20% off your next meal with us. Well, people say, well, that's a wonderful marketing tool. Yes, but it's all driven by something, and that is data. At the end of the day, data is the new currency. And that currency is being exchanged for getting access to the internet. Now, when you look at GoZone and what it is and how we're positioned to help, what it is that we do, at the end of the day, it's what I started off with today. It's our smart suite. We basically have addressed the entire space and give the venues the ability to monetize and take advantage of their hotspot with this suite of products that we have here. These platforms work together. They work separate. But you'll notice that in here you have in our marketing for Wi-Fi tool, data collection. And that's when I was talking about going in there and dealing with the identity of the individuals. If you jump across here to the analytics for Wi-Fi, you'll notice I have, once again, data collection on the entity. And that is true as well there. And even in our ads for Wi-Fi platform, which is basically a way to deliver advertisement to those individuals as well, we have the ability to report and gather data for those companies that are actually doing the advertising so that they know what are the results. Data is being gathered at every possible turn. And that's what we do really well. We help you, whether you're a partner or whether you're a venue, to take your current business model, what you have right now, and be able to make it better, make better decisions, give you the ability to drive additional revenues from that market that you already have. A lot of marketing people always say the most forgotten client base for a business is the one they currently have. We help you to take advantage of that, to drive those additional revenues back to you. Now, to be a respecter of time, I think I pretty much hit the mark. I had made a promise I'd try to keep this down to somewhere around 20 to 30 minutes, and I think I'm under that, and we're doing pretty good. What I'd like to do at this point is also remind you of a few things. Obviously, today we took a very high-level view of data and presence analytics versus the marketing data and collection, and the difference between those, as well as some of the overlap. But what it points out more than anything else, and I hope I accomplished here today for you, is to give you that aha moment, to give you the ability to say, you know what, there's a lot more to this that I need to know. I need to see a little bit more of how they actually do this and how it pans out. I'd like to see their dashboards. I'd like to see those platforms. So with that in mind, I would invite you to go ahead and go ahead and give us a call, email us. You'll see the number here. In addition to that, we invite you to connect to us on our social sites as well. Go out there on Facebook and connect to us, or Instagram or Twitter or LinkedIn. We'd like to go ahead and not only answer your questions, but we'd like to keep you in the loop, sharing information with you of all the continual changes, because the most exciting part of our industry is what's happening right now with data and information. And it changes almost daily at this point. So with that, I thank you for your time. I hope that I was able to address the differences between presence analytics versus marketing collection analytics. And if there's any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you very much.